Does God still provide for the faithful life, food, family, and protection? Let's look at 2 Kings 4. Did a prophet's widow about to lose her house cry out to Elisha? Now there happened to be a certain woman who'd been the wife of a member of the Guild of Prophets. She cried out to Elisha, "My husband who served you has died, and you know that your servant feared the Lord. But a creditor has come to take away my children into indentured servitude." Elisha responded, "What shall I do for you? Tell me what you have in your house." She replied, "Your servant has nothing in the entire house except for a flask of oil." He told her, "Go out to all your neighbors in the surrounding streets and borrow lots of pots from them. Don't get just a few empty vessels either. Then go in and shut the door behind you, taking only your children, and pour oil into all of the pots. As each one is filled, set it aside." So she left Elisha, shut the door behind her and her children, and while they kept on bringing vessels to her, she kept on pouring oil. When the last of the vessels had been filled, she told her son, "Bring me another pot." But he replied, "There isn't even one pot left." Then the oil stopped flowing. After this, she went and told the man of God what had happened. So he said, "Go sell the oil, pay your debt, and you and your children will be able to live on the proceeds." How did a generous woman help Elisha whenever he was in town? And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in there to eat bread. And she said to her husband, "Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, who passes by us continually. Let's make a little chamber, I pray you, on the wall, and let's set for him there a bed and a table and a stool and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he comes to us, that he shall turn in there." How did God reward the woman for her faithful service to his prophet? Now it happened that one day he came there and turned in to the upper chamber, and there he lay down. Then he said to Gehazi his young man, "Call this Shunammite." So he called her, and she stood before him. And he said to him, "Say now to her, Behold, you've been careful for us with all this care. What can I do for you? Would you be spoken for to the king or to the commander of the army?" And she answered, "I live among my own people." So he said, "What then is to be done for her?" And Gehazi answered, "Truly she has no son, and her husband is old." And he said, "Call her." So he called her, and she stood in the doorway. Then he said, "At this season next year, you will embrace a son." So she said, "No, my lord, O man of God, don't lie to your servant woman." Then the woman conceived and bore a son at that season the next year, as Elisha had said to her. What happened to the woman's child when he was a little bit older? When the child was grown, the day came that he went out to his father, to the reapers, and he said to his father, my head, my head." And his father said to his servant, "Carry him to his mother." When he had carried him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her lap until noon, and then he died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door behind him and left. Then she called to her husband and said, "Please send me one of the servants and one of the donkeys, so that I may run to the man of God and return." But he said, "Why are you going to him today? It's neither new moon nor Sabbath." So she just said, "It'll be fine." Then she saddled the donkey and said to her servant, "Drive the donkey and go on. Don't slow down the pace for me unless I tell you." So she went on and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. Did God honor Elisha's servant Gehazi and bring the boy back to life? So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant Gehazi, "Look, there's the Shunammite. Run to meet her and ask her, 'Are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right?" "Everything is all right," she said. When she reached the man of God at the mountain, she took hold of his feet. Gehazi came over to push her away, but the man of God said, "Leave her alone. She's in bitter distress. But the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why." "Did I ask you for a son, my lord?" she said. "Didn't I tell you, don't raise my hopes?" Elisha said to Gehazi, "Tuck your cloak into your belt. Take my staff in your hand and run. Don't greet anyone you meet, and if anyone greets you, don't answer. Lay my staff on the boy's face." But the child's mother said, "As surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, I will not leave you." So he got up and followed her. Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the boy's face. But there was no sound or response. So Gehazi went back to meet Elisha and told him, "The boy has not awakened." Did God honor Elisha himself and bring the boy back to life? When Elisha came into the house, there was the child lying dead on his bed. He went in therefore, shut the door behind the two of them, and prayed to the Lord. And he went up and lay on the child, and put his mouth on his mouth, his eyes on his eyes, and his hands on his hands. And he stretched himself out on the child, and the flesh of the child became warm. He returned and walked back and forth in the house, and again went up and stretched himself out on him. Then the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he called Gehazi and said, "Call this Shunammite woman." So he called her, and when she came in to him, he said, "Pick up your son." So she went in, fell at his feet, and bowed to the ground. Then she picked up her son and went out. How did God use Elisha to purify a poisoned stew they were preparing? Elisha now returned to Gilgal, and there was a famine in the land. One day as the group of prophets was seated before him, he said to his servant, "Put a large pot on the fire and make some stew for the rest of the group." One of the young men went out into the field to gather herbs and came back with a pocket full of wild gourds. He shredded them and put them into the pot without realizing they were poisonous. Some of the stew was served to the men, but after they had eaten a bite or two, they cried out, "Man of God, there's poison in this stew." So they wouldn't eat it. Elisha said, "Bring me some flour." Then he threw it into the pot and said, "Now it's all right. Go ahead and eat." And then it didn't harm them. How did God multiply some food and even provide leftovers? A man from Baal, Shalisha, came and brought the man of God some bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley and fresh ears of grain in his sack. Elisha said, "Give to the people, that they may eat." His servant said, "What? Should I set this before 100 men? But he said, "Give it to the people, that they may eat. For Yahweh says they'll eat, and will have some left over." So he set it before them, and they ate and had some left over, according to Yahweh's word. Do we let doubt win when we lack any of our daily needs? Jesus knew what they were discussing and said, "You people of weak faith, why are you discussing among yourselves the fact that you don't have any bread? Don't you understand yet? Don't you remember the 5 loaves that fed the 5,000, and how many baskets of leftovers you gathered? And the 7 loaves that fed the 4,000, and how many large baskets of leftovers you gathered?" Does God still provide for the faithful life, food, family, and protection? You decide.